down, and I had to deal with them, and I was going to, but I will be on next week, and
All
it's a
right.
tremendous product to put together with what we're doing. So I haven't even got started yet, but I'm preparing and changing my my databases all over as well. I'm very serious about this, just because
What?
of
Wonderful.
yeah, it's a
Wonderful.
massive job, but it's going to come to pass.
That's great. That's great.
Jonathan, I have also a quick question, if it's okay. I also
Yeah,
put in the chat box. Some of the prospects that I get the leads from database does not have a property address as well. Sometimes there's missing phone numbers for the personal representative. What is the best way to approach this, and what is is it doing more investigating in the prospect, or contacting the probate attorney, asking them for that information? Can you advise?
yeah, absolutely. Where are you located?
In
Which
Seattle,
county?
Washington.
You're in Seattle, Washington. Okay. Do we have anyone from Seattle, Washington that can give Nick some pointers? And if not, that's fine. I can help Nick. But it's always good to hear from someone local how they do it. Maybe they don't want to tell you because they're local. So
That's true.
I'll just give it away anyways.
Okay.
So here's how long you been with us, Nick?
About 3 months.
3
2
months.
to 3
Okay. So
months.
congratulations. So you just
Thank you.
joined up a couple of months ago. You got certified.
Yes.
How are you doing activity-wise? Are you getting any listing appointments?
Well,
What
because
in the
I've been
market?
also prospecting through, Mike Ferry training, and I call expireds for sale by owners. I've put in my schedule a segment of, 1 hour, 3 times a week to prospect probate.
Okay.
So I have not gotten a lot of contacts. Like, for example, if I'm calling I think if I'm making 3 contacts per hour, it's pretty lucky, because I'm going down a list to try to get that information.
Yeah.
And I do have it on automatic updates. I think they come in bi-weekly or monthly,
Okay.
where ProbateData sends me information. But there's a
Right.
lot of, it would be great if I could just put it in a dialer and just call one after the other, but it's missing
Yes.
numbers.
Yeah. So let's dive into this for a second. So two things is, if you're missing information on the address, my recommend there's 2 approaches you can do it. You can do it, just do a research and look up the decedent's name in the county and their property tax records, see if there's any property tax records. That some people like to do that. That takes a little bit of time. I am very old school. I'm very non-techie, believe it or not, when it comes to these things. For someone who built ProbateData and who's in charge of tech, I'm very non-techie when it comes to finding out information. I'm very impatient when it comes to things with property. So what I like to do is I like to call the attorney or the PR, most likely the PR, if I have the phone number. Let's assume I have the phone number. I'll call the PR and just ask him a simple question. Say, hey, Nick, this is Jonathan. I noticed you, the PR, the petitioner for this estate. I just want to know, have you thought about selling or renting out the property? And they say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Grandma had no property. She lived in a nursing home. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That was my mistake. Is there anything else I can help you with? What's your biggest challenge right now? So don't just hang out there and say, well, you don't have property. I don't care about you.
Yes.
You want to complete your call, right? If they do say, well, we don't know yet, it's kind of up in the air, then the first thing you want to say, well, I understand that. It's exactly the reason why I'm calling. Let me ask you, what is your number 1 challenge right now? And then you just listen for what they're going through, and then you offer them resources, from your list of resources, and then you go through that. Now, as far as finding phone numbers, we have, we did a class, I want to say 4 weeks ago. If you look on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ProbateData, there's one on finding phone numbers, and there's about 8 different sites where you can go find phone numbers. The number 1 favorite one seems to be Fast People Search.
Fast People Search?
Yeah, fastpeoplesearch.com. And then the follow-up to that, and that, so some people really like that one. And then if they don't find numbers there, which is free, they go to BEN Verified, BEEN verified.com, and that's a paid service, and then they'll find a phone number over there. My recommendation, which I've been saying now for a while, is you go to Fiverr.com, FIVER.com, and you search for someone who will do skip tracing. So you type in the search box, real estate skip tracing, and you'll find people that have membership to TLO, LexisNexis, BEN Verified, and all these other ones, paid services. And they'll go in and they'll research and find phone numbers and email addresses for you, and then send it back to you. These are usually people that are overseas, a lot of people in Philippines, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and they have membership to these paid services. And what they'll do is I see one guy, he would do like 500 searches or 500 searches for $30 or something like that. So I've
And that's
used
FIDERR.com?
FIV, V like Victor, like the number
FIV.
5. Yeah, Fiverr. FIV like Victor, ERRR. ERR. Just two R's.
Double R.
Yeah, double R. Yeah.
That's for the fiver in England. The £5 note, right?
Yeah, I don't know how it started. I think it started when I started using them years ago. It was just that you could get any job done for $5. That was their starting point. Yeah, for $5 for a fiver, right? And then from there they grew, and then they start adding additional services. So the basic service could be for $5 you'll get this in a week, or if you pay me $20, I'll get it to you in 24 hours, stuff like that. But Fiverr is one of my favorite sites. You can always find someone who will get great stuff done for you. And you can always look at how many reviews they have and things like that. So Lori, the name of the other website I talked about is BEEN Verified, BEEN Verified.com. And I think
And
that
these,
one,
there's going to be information on the video taped on the YouTube communities.
yeah, if you go into youtube.com/ProbateData, you'll see all our videos and you'll see our different playlists. And the one I believe from 4 or 5 weeks ago, I did
Finding numbers.
I did a full finding phone numbers, and
Okay.
and I'll just save you an hour's worth of time. At the end, I concluded with go to Fiverr and find someone there. Don't spend any more time than you have to. Know what your time is worth. I believe that was a message for Sydney a couple of weeks ago. She spent so much time looking for phone numbers, and she got frustrated, and she spent hours looking for a handful of phone numbers because she really wanted those 5 phone numbers. And it's just so easy. I've been there myself.
Yeah,
like,
can't wait.
Obsessed about this is the deal, this is the listing, this is the case that's going to make
gotta
break
crack
the
that
bank,
code.
right? I gotta crack that code. And we get so OCD about it. We all have those tendencies to some degrees. So my challenge to Sydney back then, and I'll challenge everyone right now, is like, what's your time worth? You know, if someone's going to get this done for you in 24 to 48 hours and return up to 500 numbers for $25, you know, what could you do with that time? And where else could you get that greater return than that place? So that's great question to get us started right off the bat. Let's see, before we dive in for today, any other questions? Yeah, David, go ahead.
How do you spell Fiverr again? I thought it was double V.
No, that's you're just starting up their competition, Fiverr. I'll put it in FIVERR.com. I put it in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jonathan, one more question. Sometimes I hesitate on calling. I don't know if it's a mental block thing, by calling the attorneys and just going right in there and asking them. A few times I do, you know, they say, oh, we have an agent that we're working with, but I'm trying to build a relationship with the probate attorney. Is it better to just take that entire list and send it to Fiverr and have them crack the numbers, or is it better to just to go and just call the attorney and get right to the point?
Well, there's 2 very different questions, right? Two very different outcomes and questions that you're asking. Number one is, should I just call attorneys? Don't just call attorneys. Be very prepared when you're calling attorneys. And also know this is a long-term game with attorneys. Number one. Number two, the attorneys work for the PR. They work for the decision maker, which is the petitioner. So when I say PR, I mean petitioner, executor, administrator, right? So petitioner or PR, that's a personal representative. So when you're calling the attorney, just know that the attorney works for the PR, so they answer to the PR. But a lot of times the PR will just like, I don't know, like I'm just looking for expertise, which is your window of opportunity to come in and be the expert around real estate. So yes, work with attorney, but work with attorney from an angle of wanting to give more than what you're asking for in the beginning. So one of my favorite scripts is just to reach out to attorney and say, look, I'm an active certified probate real estate specialist in your area. I noticed your name came up on my resource. Your name comes, it looks like you're really active in probate real estate. And he'll say yes. So is it okay if I send you referrals? From time to time, I get cases where it's in pro per, you use that language, in pro per, if that's the language that they use in your area. And in some areas they use in per se, P-E-R-S-E, which means they're trying to do it themselves. And honestly, Mrs. Attorney, you know, like from experience, this can be really complicated for someone who hasn't done it. And usually, you know, a couple of weeks into it, they realize they need help. And at that time, it would be great if I could reach out to a trusted network of attorneys. Like, would it be okay if I sent you referrals? Is that okay? No one's going to say no to that. Now you're already standing out differently from this. Okay, great. I'll be in touch with you. And then once a week or once every 2 weeks, you send an email, you put a note out, whatever, and you ask for coffee or lunch or whatever. And you build that relationship slowly but surely, and then also try to send them a referral if something comes up. And remember, you don't just send them a case number, say, hey, I know this is ProPer, you should call them. No, that's not a referral, right? Because they can't call and solicit business. If you talk to someone and they are in ProPer and they feel like they're in over their head, you say, you know what? I know a great attorney named Charles Mortimer. He's right down the street from us. He's in our county, and he's British. He has a great accent. He really sounds like he knows what he's doing, right? So why don't you call him, and then he can help you finish, get us to the finish.
Cheerio.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheerio.
So those are two different things, right? So the phone number thing, always do that. Go get your phone numbers. And I keep reiterating this every week, every Friday. I keep asking who's been making phone calls, right? So let's dive into that right now. Let's see, Karen is asking, do you approach a lead if they are the surviving spouse or there are no other beneficiaries? Great question, Karen. When you're asking the question, what's your tendency? Would you approach the lead or would you not approach the lead? I'm trying to read between the lines. I want to see where you're at. So either unmute yourself and let us see your face and then say what you're thinking about doing. So the question is, do you approach a lead if they are the surviving spouse and there are no other beneficiaries? Where do you lean towards? Yes or no, Karen? Karen, you're muted. I need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm in Nassau County, New York. Yeah, so when I see the lead, it has a surviving spouse. I think, okay, first of all, there is maybe that person is going to continue living in the home, and is it insensitive to approach that person? They're already dealing with the loss of their loved one. So I'm always very skeptical, and I usually go past those leads.
Yeah. So your tendency is to not get into those leads because you feel like it would be insensitive to call them. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the only time it's insensitive to call them is if you're insensitive about your approach. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to people and offering help. It's the how, it's like I said yesterday, and I always say, it's the heart. If the heart's in the right place and the intention's in the right place, when you reach out to someone to help them, they'll feel that and they'll get it. So I can tell you from experience, like when my father passed away 15 years ago, luckily we didn't have to go through probate, but my dad had a trust set up. So we spent maybe an hour in an attorney's office, and $1,000 later, everything was clear and we were out of it. So we were in terms of, as luck goes, one of those 5% of the United States where there was a trust set up, and we went through that. But it took my mom like a year or two, actually a year and a half, before she was ready to move on, right? And then she moved out of the apartment, which was a rental, but they had other properties as well. And then she moved on. The thing with probate is when someone files, I'll say 8 out of 10 times, it's because they are ready to move on, or they have to move on. Sometimes they have to move on, but they're not ready to move on. Mm-hmm. So in 8 out, maybe I want to say 10 out of 10. I can't say 10 out of 10 because someone's going to hold me to that. Let's say 9 out of 10 times, right? When probate is filed, it doesn't matter if the decedent passed last week, last year, or 10 years ago. The moment probate is filed is the moment they're signaling to the world, we're ready to move on. We're ready to do something about this, however difficult or complicated it might be. Now, back to you, Karen. It's entirely on you to decide whether you want to get involved with that or not. Because at the end of the day, everyone here in this call, you're involved in the relationship game here. You're in this because you like to develop relationships, maintain relationships, augment your relationships, amplify your relationships, make your relationship-driven people. And you may not want to get involved with a surviving spouse because it triggers something for you, or you feel uncomfortable. That's fine. That's okay. Then move on to the next one. But if your belief is like, they probably don't need my help and I don't want to intrude, then you should call them because you're wrong. Everyone's looking for help. It just matters who they click with the best. We're in this, we're not I don't want to say we're in this together because I see that everywhere now, but we can get out of life whatever we want out of life, but we can't do it alone, right? So we all need help at different times. And this is where you guys come in. When someone files for probate, it's like I love the way Deborah Rugley approaches cases. She studies the case. She really looks at it. She goes, is this someone I can help? Is this someone I know I can help? Does this look like a familiar case? Does this look like something I want to get involved with? She doesn't just splash it all out. So here, I'll work with anyone. She's like, I'll just work with, 10, 15 cases a year, whatever the situation may be. So that's also after being in it for, I think, 8 years now. She's found her rhythm, right? Let's see here. Minerva is saying, go to page 65 of the manual you received, and there are some sites listed. I've been adding to the list. Okay, so Minerva, if you have a list that you like, go ahead and paste it in here in the chat room if that's something you want to do. That's page 65 on the C-Press manual. It's a little dated, I'll be honest with you. So I would go back. Why don't we do this? When I send out the replay today, I'll put the list of all the sites that I just mentioned to Nick, so you guys can go find phone numbers. All right, let's do a check-in, guys. Let's get your hands ready, okay? So the challenge is every week, I want you to make 50 calls, not 50 contacts, 50 calls. And every week, I get people saying yes, nodding. I take notes of who's saying yes. Last week, I forgot to take note. So that means you've had 2 weeks to do 50 calls. So guys, I'm grading on the curve here. I'm lowering the bar just a little bit more. I'm giving you more time. So I would love to see a lot of high five in my next question. If you made 50 calls or more in the last 2 weeks, show me 5 fingers. 50 calls or more in the last 2 weeks. 50 calls. All right, Jimmy, Nick, Philip, Natalie, no. Fran, no. Randy Bandy, no. Charles, no. Okay. All right. Let's see. 40 calls in the last 2 weeks. 40 calls or more. All right. You know where this is going. 30 calls or more. 30 calls or more in the last 2 weeks. So if you made a call and they didn't answer, that still counts as a call. I just want you making that call. It's like get to the gym, right? Just lift that weight, just get in there. Okay, so 30 calls, show 3 fingers. Okay, 20 calls. Okay, Wayne says yes. Good job, Wayne. High five to Wayne. 20 calls or more in the last 2 weeks. Let's see in the chat. Let's see here. All right, you know where this next one is going. If you did only 10 calls, roughly 10 calls or more in the last 2 weeks, show me 1 finger, but be really mindful of which finger you're going to show me. 1 finger. Okay, Deborah, 10 calls in the last 2 weeks. Fran did 10 calls. Okay, good. Okay, at least some of you are calling. All right, so that's the small check-in that we do every week. And my challenge is always, if you're not calling, we're giving you leads, we're giving you access to phone numbers, we're giving you scripts. You're not going anywhere. Most of you are staying home. If you're not calling, what are you doing? Okay, A. Neil is saying 20 plus for him. That's awesome. Okay, so for those of you that did calls, whether it was 10, 20, 50 or whatever, as long as you did something, round of applause for you guys. Good job. Everyone give yourself a round of applause. Very nice. Good work, guys.
Jonathan,
okay. Yeah,
I haven't received any leads in the past couple of weeks or month, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense because the courts are closing, right? And then and then there's also historical leads. Now, whether you get new leads or you're working on old leads, I'm not saying 50 new calls, just 50 calls. Could be follow-up calls, could be calls you made a month ago, right? Deborah's saying 75 mailers. Okay, so Deborah, what do you do after 75 mailers? How long do you wait before you make the call? Guys, I would pay attention to what Deborah says because she's been with us for 8 years and she's one of our most successful students out there. What's your, not to put pressure on you, but just tell us what you do. Go ahead, Deborah.
Okay, so first I mail at least 3 times before I make a call.
Okay.
So
why do you do that?
So they can get used to my face and my name. So when I do call, it's like it rings a bell. Oh yes, I did receive your mailer.
Okay, and what do you usually send them, like a letter or a postcard?
I send out an introductory letter as an invitation, and then I send out all of the services that I offer in a trifold. And now I send out a postcard that just says my probate website to get in contact with, and then I call.
Okay, so when you call them, do you say, hey, did you get my ebook, or did you get my, what do you tell them on the phone?
As I introduced myself and I said that I mailed you a couple of times. Did you get any of my mailers? And usually they say yes.
Okay. And if they say no, what do you say?
I just keep going. I just ask, oh, okay, well, were you interested in what had you planned to do with the property in this state?
Beautiful. You go straight to the point.
Yes.
Okay. And let me ask you, how often do people hang up on you and tell you never to call back again? Out of 10 calls, 10 contacts, how often does that happen?
They don't hang up, but I have had it where they say don't call back.
Okay. So out of 10 calls, 10 contacts, does that happen once or twice?
No, I would say out of 50. Do not
So
call.
once or twice out of 50.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just complicated the math for me. I was trying to come up with a percentage. So if it's twice out of 50, that's less than 0.5% of the time. So let's just call it easy math. 1% of the time, you know, it's not even that. It's 0.25% of the time you get the answer that pretty much everyone is fearing, that which is don't call me back.
That's 4% of the time. 2 out of
No,
50.
two out of 50 is 4%?
Would be 4 out of 100.
Okay, yeah, so it's 2%, right?
No,
No,
it'd be 4%.
Okay, so she said 2 out of 50. So if 2 out of 100 would be 2%. So 4%, you're right. I did the math wrong. So 4% of the time. Thank you, David. So good to have
Glad
you
I
guys.
can contribute something.
No, this is great. I love being held in check here. This is good. I'm not just making up math as we go. That would be horrible. Someone who built ProbateData just making up numbers, that's not good. 4% of the time. Okay, so 4% of the time, you get a no, right? But that means 60% of the time you get a conversation. Doesn't necessarily mean it means a yes, but you get something, right? You get somewhere.
Yes.
So thanks, Deborah, for sharing that. Anything else you want to share?
The attorneys is going to be even more difficult. They're just going to say, I have someone, or I'm working with someone, or no, they have someone. So what I offer is to send my resume, and if they get to where they need to any type of information, you have my information, just give me a call.
Great. Do you ever tell attorneys that you specialize in probate, or how does that come on?
That's the first thing that comes out, is I'm a certified probate specialist for the last 27 years.
Excellent, excellent.
Jonathan?
Yes, David.
I have a question. The woman who spoke earlier, who lives in New York, she was
Nassau, yeah.
a little concerned. I have kind of the same problem of sometimes contacting people who were recently suffered a bereavement. And but I was wondering if for her and for me, I live in a gated retirement community in Northern California.
Yeah.
And for someone like that, I wonder how to go about without seeming to take advantage or being fulsome about it. You might want to sell your place and move into, I mean, the community I live in is called Rossmore, and it is a phenomenal place. It's got 2 golf courses, swimming pools. I mean, it's got a restaurant on site. It's
nice.
A beautiful community. I'm saying, have you ever thought about possibly moving and combine the two? Sell your house?
Yeah.
Is that going overboard, or is that?
Again, like if you're, like you just describing a community right now made me want to visit. Like that sounds like an awesome place because you were enthusiastic about it. So there's nothing opportunistic.
Oh, I've lived here for 23 years.
So there you go. That's a great story, right? I've been here for 23 years. You tell a little bit about your background, why you love it, the restaurant, it has a pool, my grandkids come over, whatever the case may be for you, right? So you're saying if that's the lifestyle you might want to have, you know, come check this out. So I don't think that's crossing any lines. Again, guys, you have to know your own intentions and integrity, right? So your heart is in the right place and you have the right intentions, you'll get through to them. But if you're looking at it, like I said on Tuesday, and I probably even said yesterday, if you're coming at it from a place of commission, they smell your commission breath over the phone, rather than coming from a mission-driven, like you're mission-driven and you want this to happen for them because you really believe in offering them a solution to their problem that you're going through. All right, so I just want to check the chat. That's good. Did that answer your question, David?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's see here. Natalie's iPhone. Natalie's new. Welcome, Natalie. Where are you joining us from? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Let me see if I can unmute you. Here we go. I'm going to unmute you right now. There we go. No? Yeah, here we go. Okay, I heard something. No, say something, say something. No, still not going. No going, no, it's connected. Just type in the chat where you're joining us from. Welcome aboard, we're happy to have you here. Diane is asking, did you say ebook? Yes, I said ebook. So this is a bit what Charles referred to earlier, and Deborah also, the UPLC program, the Ultimate Probate Lead Converter. It's a service that's offered through MTI Education. It's a done-for-you website with that's focused and specializes in probate, and that comes with 21 weeks of follow-up, and there's an ebook written on your behalf and reports and all that. So once the PR opts in, they get all the follow-up. You get notified that there's a new lead, and we also integrate it in with your CRM. We integrate with, I think, 8 different CRMs at this point. So if you're interested in that, I'll mention more about that a little bit later. But for right now, I just want to make sure we cover all the probate data stuff. Denise has a referral for Chicago. Anyone in Chicago? Chicago, referral for Chicago from Denise. I believe Denise is in Florida. She's got a hot referral for Chicago. Anyone in Chicago, any takers? Denise, why don't you put your email address in the chat?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay, Minerva, there you go. Minerva, please. Minerva, actually, I can vouch for Minerva. She's been with us for a good 5, maybe 6 years. She's been consistent. She's been with us for a long time. She knows what she's doing. So Denise, you're in good hands with Minerva. Please connect with Minerva. Minerva, you want to put your email in the chat so Denise can get you there. And Denise, you do the same so you guys can connect, okay?
Okay.
And Natalie, you're from Georgia. All right. Good to meet you. Always good to have new people. All right. All right, so Karen is asking, why does the property value sometimes show $0 on the lead sheet? Does this matter? So I'll tell you how we gather our data, okay? So we get the petition for probate, which is called in most counties, from the courthouse. And on that petition for probate, sometimes we have the property and then there's a property value there. And sometimes there's no property value there. There's no real requirement that they fill out everything on this petition for probate. There's the basic. And if they don't know the property value, they just don't put anything in there, it just says 0 or they don't know, right? So what I would encourage you to do is prospect with those leads still, and then go ahead and reach out to them, right? So look up the address of the decedent, look up we provide the Zillow value if we can, and it's there. And then you can go ahead and still prospect and still reach out to them, right? So it doesn't matter if the property value says 0. It just means that that particular field, there's like 132 fields in an average petition for probate line items that they got to fill out. And if they don't fill out everything, that's okay, especially now with the, how busy the courts are and how limited staff is. They just kind of just take in the petitions and then they move on from there. All right, so let's see, any other questions? So for those of you that are new, right, you should have been receiving emails with leads, either historical leads that go back, several months and maybe even a year. And those are leads that where the case was filed, let's say a year ago, but the property hasn't sold yet. So there's still an opportunity there 80% of the time for you to reach out, talk to the PR and offer your services. And then in some courthouses that are beginning to open up again, like LA County and a couple others in California, I know Florida and I think Georgia as well. Some states and counties in Texas, not states, some counties in Texas are opening up as well. You'll see more regular, announcements from ProbateData saying it says like in parentheses in your subject says platinum leads. Here they are, and then you click and you download, right? But there's a third way you can get leads, and that's by logging into ProbateData. And I'm going to go through that next week because I've been having internet challenges for the last 2 weeks. We're on a vacation here, and the internet is not as great. So if I start sharing my screen, everything starts crashing. So next week, what I'll do is I'll do a deep dive on how you can log into ProbateData.com. You all have a login, you have a password. You can even do it without me, but I'd like to give you a tour next week and show you some tricks of the trade, so to speak. And when you log in, there's a couple of videos you can watch there on how to use it. But also if you go to youtube.com/ProbateData, and there you'll have some of the best rated webinars. You have some how-tos. There's talking about what the platinum leads are. There's some case studies. I've interviewed about 4 different agents. By the way, if you have a story you want to share about your success stories with probate real estate, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to interview you, whether it's through our services or just in general, and why you like probate real estate. And it's not so much for us. It's really for us to put out there to the community, for someone who's new, someone like Natalie, or someone like, I think Karen was also new, or some of these newer people that are joining us. It's always good to hear stories and to hear what's working out there, and to hear about struggles and how people overcame them. Because when I interview people, I don't just say, hey, how much money did you make? That's boring. I want to get into what's your story? Why did you pick this? Why this niche? And what were the challenges? And what was it? Like, I get into it with them, right? So you get to know the person, and then you get to find yourself in those stories one way or another. And it's a great fuel, especially during these times when we're in different levels of quarantine, depending on where we live in the country. So if you're interested in getting on a call with me and getting on an interview and talking shop, so to speak, around probate real estate, I'd love to do that. And we could do it on a private Zoom. I'll record it and we'll put it out as an interview. So if you want to watch some of the interviews that I've done already, you go to youtube.com/ProbateData. And you'll see interviews there. There's 4 of them. There's John Matukas, Deborah Blue, Jerry Morbury. Jerry Morbury's story is really great. I've probably told him a million times, but I'll say it anyways. He went from, a ton of debt into being a high 6-figure earner and top 1% out of 500 agents within 1 year, just by using our data. And he used historical prospecting data. And that's all he did, and that's all he does. So his story is really good too. We have Monica Botten from Georgia. So Natalie, that could be a fun one for you to watch. Monica Botten, she's out in, she's in Georgia, yeah. So those are 4. I'd like to get it up to 10. And this is not a time for you guys to be camera shy. So if you have stories you want to share, or success stories you want to share, or even just stories, reach out to me. We'll have a few email exchanges. Email me to info@probatedata.com. And we'll have a just 15, 20-minute conversation, chit chat. This is your chance to pay forward for new agents that are coming in throughout the country, and helping them out as well. We still have a lot of work cut out for us. We've only certified, when I say we, I mean MT Education. MT Education's only certified 11,000 agents, and there's 1.3 million agents out there. So we still have our work cut out for us. We're looking for help to spread the word, so to speak. For those of you that have benefited from this, love to interview you guys on it, and we can take it from there. All right, let me see the last question from Karen. If public records reflect the owner information as the petitioner instead of the deceased, what does this mean? Is it worth reaching out? All right, so public records owner. So I don't know if this is going to happen. Karen, so you guys can read the question in the chat as well. If public records reflect the owner information as the petitioner instead of the deceased, what does this mean? I don't know what that means. That's curious because unless the decedent passed away, didn't own the property they lived in, maybe they were renting it from a friend or something. It's reach out. You don't know, you never know. Guys, Jonathan, one thing I want to mention is, like, a lot of these people that are passing on right now, the baby boomers, their parents just went through the Great Recession, and their parents learned not to trust the banks, so to speak, because the banks crashed, right? So what do? They put all their money in real estate. And so they have a lot of money in real estate, tied up in real estate. So even if they lived in a nursing home or they're paying rent somewhere, it's not unlikely that they own some commercial real estate, apartment building, gas stations, things like that. So always reach out. That's my word to you, Karen, today. If there's one thing you learned today, always reach out. You might learn that there's nothing there, but it's worth reaching out anyways. Tony's saying, did you just say you interviewed these people? I sure did. Where will I find it? youtube.com/ProbateData. Let me just find it and drop the direct link in there. YouTube.com. I don't know where you guys are all located, but where I'm at right now, there's a heat wave and no AC. So if you see sweat on my forehead, it's not because this is a difficult session with you guys. It's just there's a heat wave. Let's see, success stories and interviews.
Should be back in California here, John, so it's nice and cool.
Yeah, I know, right? All right,
Jonathan,
so
that YouTube.
It's 90 degrees already up here.
Oh, geez! Wow, wow.
So in the film storage on YouTube, that's is that titled phone prospecting? What was the name of that?
I think it was called Finding Phone Numbers. Yeah. So I just put the link in our chat to our YouTube channel where I did the interviews. So you can go back to our channel, and then you can go into the one that says, well, you can go into where it says videos, and then inside videos, you search for phone numbers. Just type in phone numbers. And then you'll,
okay,
yeah,
great.
Finding Phone Numbers. Yeah. Natalie has a question. Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, I think it's working now. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Yay! Sorry, I was on my phone. I had to get off on another Zoom. So just to make sure that I understood this, you would recommend reaching out to the person that is, the one that lost the loved ones, or would you say the attorney is the best person to be reaching out to, although that may be a little bit harder?
No, so so the recommendation is always reach out to the petitioner. So when you get the leads from us, there's one column that says petitioner, petitioner name, phone number, address, and all that, and sometimes email also. That's the person in charge of the interview.
Okay. Oh, you froze.
One that you want to work with and you want to move towards. Sometimes it's a surviving spouse. A lot of times it's a friend or a family friend or a relative, a grandson, a granddaughter, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, son, daughter. It's usually something like that. And sometimes you'll get like a good friend that's the PR.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So now, have you taken the CPRES course with MTI?
No. So I've just joined with Gina.
Okay.
And so she's not in the office right now, but I told her I'll jump in on the call and try to get as much nuggets as I can. So I'm getting with her. Awesome.
Great. So Gina, I'm familiar with Gina, so she'll be able to help with this as well. And then I recommend going back and reviewing the videos on YouTube, and then also with Gina's account, go back and review all the CPRES videos. They'll answer all these questions, who to talk to and what to say. I think that's it, guys. I think we're good for today.
I have one final question.
Yes, go ahead, David.
It's been, as I mentioned earlier, it's been quite a while since I received any leads, historic, old ones or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I live in Northern California again, Alameda, Contra Costa County.
Yeah.
Any idea when I might be getting some?
let me follow up with you.
Otherwise.
Yeah, let me follow up with you. I'll check in with Kristen and Alyssa. They're the ones that coordinate this, and then I'll see if also that if for some reason you've been missing out on emails, because sometimes that happens too. It goes into your spam or something. So
I'm not overly concerned right now, but
okay, good. Well, yeah. I'll look into it, and then I'll email you, or I'll have Alyssa reach out to you directly.
Jonathan, I'm the same way. We haven't done any for the last couple of weeks.
Okay, where are you located?
In Alameda County as well.
Alameda. Okay, so Alameda. Okay, right on.
Jonathan, I tried to search that on the YouTube. Can you put a link on that for us if you can find it? Finding the phone numbers.
You had to put me on the spot, didn't you?
I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to do that. I've been searching for while we've been on this Zoom phone call, but I can't seem to find it.
No. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick.
I know it'll be helpful for us.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see here.
If you could also email them, because if we miss this meeting, we don't see the chat. But also, did you say that for the platinum leads, can I do it on my own? Can I search on my own?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
you have a login. You have a login into ProbateData that you can use at any time, and you can start searching and downloading as much as you, well, not as, you can look at as many as you want. You can download up to 100. Let's see. Finding phone numbers.
Jonathan, this is Denise. I have a question.
Go ahead, Denise.
Right. So I've been working with the broker associate who is also, I'm with Home Genius and he is also with Chrome. However, it's possible that he's going to be opening a separate brokerage on his own instead. And he's also working on his mortgage brokerage line. And I just heard somebody say something about being on someone's team. Is he allowed to come on because I work very closely with him on any of these calls?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, how do I put this? I don't mind other people joining in if they're on your team. Just make sure they have a cursory understanding of what probate is and how it works, and then even encourage them to just explain who the decision makers on all of that. And this is nothing against you, Natalie. I'm just giving know what you're getting into before you get on the call. So if you have someone on your team that should be on the call, just know the basics, right? So I'm happy to explain it. And all the people that are on this meeting right here, they've gone through some level of certification. They know what the deal is, and they know who the decision maker and all that. But again, I don't mind saying, yeah, you need to talk to the PR and all that. But the reason I'm saying is because if you're going to join on this, I want you to get the most out of it as possible.
Right. Well,
Natalie,
he is actually, can you still hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
He is actually the person who is in Miami-Dade County that I would be, you know, most of my, I have 3 counties, Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade. I'm not going to Miami-Dade. So he is the person that I would be working with on any leads we get for Dade County, because he's actually going out. He is also a sold agent, and he has a license with them. And he's the one who's going down to Dade County because he lives there. So that's the only reason I asked about that, because Denise ain't going to Miami.
Yeah, I know. You and I talked about that a little while ago. Denise is not going to Miami. I hear you loud and clear on that.
No.
Yeah.
There's too much trouble going on down there. Yeah. And I live in a quiet community, and that's where I want to stay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's totally fine. By the way, Denise, that's not a challenge at all. Yeah, sure, bring him in. And by now, you guys probably figure out that Denise likes to refer business and connect with people around. So hopefully Minerva and Denise, you guys connect, and this works out for Chicago.
Nick, I sent her email address to my email, so I have her when I can connect. And I was contacted today by someone in Fort Lauderdale who's also an optometrist, and she does wholesaling of properties, and she wants to connect with me because she said she often comes across probate properties also. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking to her more as I move forward. Yeah. So that was an interesting call.
Great. Okay, so before we finish up here, Nick, I just put the link in there.
Thank you. I saw it.
Yeah, and the reason why I couldn't find it because the title didn't mention anything about phone numbers. So
I got it. That's the newest one you just put in there. I see it. I copied it already. Got it. Thank you.
So
Thank you so much.
There. Yeah, and then Fiverr. I highly recommend Fiverr.com. Just type in. Let me just do what I always do. And I'm finding one specific provider, and I'll give you guys his link, and I'll make my disclaimer, and you guys can have it however you wish.
Is this being recorded, Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see here. All right, this guy here. I don't know what his name is. I know what his username is. I think his name is. I don't know what his name is. All right, so here's, I'm going to put this link into this guy in Fiverr. And again, you guys that have heard me say this before, you could probably repeat verbatim what I'm about to say. All right, so here's what I'm going to say. I by no means vouch for this guy. I'm not endorsing him. I'm just saying he looks like a provider. Here we go. That can get the job done. All right, he has access to the right resources. He's got over 1,000 reviews. and he's had an account that's aged, I mean, he's been there for a while, and if you send him a spreadsheet with the PR information, he's going to get back to you with what he can find on TLO, been verified, and a couple other resources. He's going to give you 1 or 2 phone numbers, maybe even 3, and they're going to go from like most accurate, most likely to be accurate to least accurate, right? So there's going to be phone, mobile phone numbers, landlines, things like that. And he's also going to look up email addresses. So again, here, what I'll say is he'll do, looks like he'll do 500 leads for 25 bucks, maybe for 30 bucks or 35 bucks, he'll throw in some email addresses. So get in touch with him, give him a test sheet. Say, here's 100. I think for 100, he'll charge 5 bucks, and see how he does. And like I always say, he might come back where 30 another crap. You can't use it. That means, again, focus what doesn't work, focus on what works, focus on what you have to get what you want. All right, so everyone knows that means my internet is about to tap out.
Yeah, you kind of froze there for a little bit.
Okay. All right, so my computer's breaking into a sweat too. All right, guys, let's call it a day. Next week, we'll be back and we'll do a deep dive into ProbateData and how to use that. And I'll have really, really, really good internet connection, and I won't be sweating as much as today. Until then, be safe, be well, and wash those hands. All right, bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.